Hey guys, Vladimir here with Desktop Makes. I wanted to show a really cool project from one of my students in my weekly Fusion Zoom class. Dean was doing some work to an old gazebo in a historic part of town and saw that there was what looked to be a hole in the ground. After further investigation, he learned that there was once a plaque there and that this was the site of a Native American burial ground. Digging through the archives, he was then able to piece together the information to create the missing plaque. And using Fusion, he recreated the design for the plaque, 3D printed the model, and sandcasted it to create a replica in aluminum in his small home foundry. His goal? To eventually cast it in bronze and restore a piece of lost history. In this class session, we looked at his Fusion model to address some of the issues he was having with creating extruded text that would be able to be sandcasted. We uncovered some great lessons, especially when trying to add fillets to text. I show you how to simplify complex and long timelines, deal with fillet errors, speed up your workflow using the suppress feature trick, and more. All right, let's dive in. I did get one question here from Dean, and I want to go over your model, Dean. Okay, so this is actually really cool. And let me show some pictures that you sent me of what you're doing. And if you want to jump in and describe this a little more, Dean, go ahead. Here's the gazebo.
Yeah, there's a gazebo. It's kind of the older part of town, and the park district had asked me to enclose it with some ironwork, which I did. And while I was doing some research on it and also looking at the structure, I saw what appeared to be a hole in the floor. And evidently there'd been a plaque in there at one time. Nobody knows much about it, but going through the archives at the library, I discovered that a plaque had been placed there probably around 1913, 1915. And so and there was a recollection of what was on the text, and I kind of have started with that, although I updated it using more politically correct language than what was used at the time. Still trying to find out a little bit more about who made it or who designed it. There's a couple of architects that may have done it, and also who built the structure. It's an interesting place because it was actually a cemetery. It was the old cemetery there when they settled this area in the early 1800s. Burial ground for the Native Americans, and then later they called it the Old Soldiers Cemetery. But eventually it became run down and the city grew up, and they decided they wanted to turn it into a park. So it then became the first park in Urbana in about 1905. This is all that remains. Not too many people are all that familiar with the story, but it's became interesting to me. But anyway, I wanted to come up and recreate the plaque. I'm still kind of working on the details, but I happen to have a small foundry in my workshop. So I was able to take the Fusion and come up with the text after watching Vladimir's video. And then as Vladimir noted, I sure did a lot of fillets on it, but that's mostly because I needed to round off the letters so that when I press it into sand, I can withdraw the pattern and leave a nice mold in the foundry sand and then cast it. Here I kind of did a proof of concept in aluminum, but the goal eventually will to be cast it in some kind of copper alloy, a bronze.
Oh, so this one's out of aluminum on the left?
Yeah, that's aluminum. I just wanted to see how well it was going to work. It worked okay.
Came out pretty nice, it looks like.
Yeah, if you take a look at it with a magnifying lens, you can, I can find the flaws. But the sand, a lot of it has to do with the condition of the sand. I have not made a fresh batch of sand for some time, but gotcha. I'll be able to get that a lot sharper. And as I mentioned, I may also do some milling with a milling machine whenever I get that later this month, if I'm not too happy with the letters. But I found even with the TAS 5, which is a fairly old machine, with the newer software, the Cura software and the Fusion 360, I'm getting pretty decent results. It's amazing that the software is really able to kind of breathe some new life even into older equipment. I think the TAS 5 is maybe 2016, something like that.
Yeah. All right, nice. So let's take a look at your design here. And so right away, what I noticed is I was like, oh man, this timeline, look at all these fillets, right?
So I had to do every letter.
Yeah, not only like that's very time consuming, right? And very tedious to come in and select each one of these.
Oh my word.
Well,
Yeah,
I just had to get the face. So if I got the top face, I was able to just press the fillet tool
right.
and then do
Yeah,
it. But you see, what sometimes happened was I had to use different radiuses on different letters.
uh,
Otherwise, I would have batched them. But I
yeah.
bet you have a better way to do it.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. It looks like you did 78 fillets.
Oh boy, no, I didn't count.
78 instances of fillets. Well, if you highlight these, it'll show you
Yeah.
how many. So all right, so let's take a look at I guess any suggestions, I guess, before I dive in? Like what are you guys thinking here? How could we streamline this?
I'm thinking, selecting multiple surfaces, but if he's got different amounts that he needs to apply, different values for the fillets, that could be a challenge as well.
Right. So I'll kind of go through how I approached this. So I looked at the timeline, right? And then one thing I did, so I double clicked into his first sketch to edit. And it probably took over a minute for him to like me to get back out of that sketch, because what it had to do is once I click finish sketch, it had to recompute each one of these fillets. Which are you getting that issue, Dean, where if you try to go back and edit this, it's really taking a long time?
Well, like one of the other students here mentioned, sometimes it's easier just to start over than
Yeah.
to edit. But eventually we'll figure that out. I found that sometimes I would go back and I just couldn't get back to where I started. But
Yeah.
I'm used to punishment, so I just would do it over.
So it ends up being a lot of calculations for your machine to be able to have to recompute that all the time. And I'll show you a trick of how you can avoid that. So let's say that you do have, a model like this, and you have, 78 fillets. What you can do is left click and then drag your timeline to the end, hold shift and left click that last instance there. And now you can right click anywhere on that timeline there over the highlighted ones and go to suppress feature.
Ah, okay.
And what it's going to do, it's not going to delete it, but it'll suppress it, meaning it's not going to redo those calculations each time you try to go in and make a change and come out. So if you need to make a change and it has nothing to do with this particular feature, so now I can go into that sketch. I'm just going to edit that, go into that first sketch, and I can come in and out of it without having to recalculate. So suppress feature, yeah, take a note of that. It'll really come in.
Yeah, I can see that would save a lot of time because obviously I'm going to be having some other letters on an inner ring, and then some other features in the center.
Okay. So. Yeah. So what I did here, so I could see what you did. You did the if I just double click on the sketch here, it shows me that you did a the path or text on the path approach. Here's your text, and I could go in and see all your settings here. So your height, I see you're modeling in inches here. So let's try to recreate this. And what I did was you can actually, if you didn't know, you can copy sketch from one design to another. So I'm going to go to select here. Let me do a window selection. Right now, you have paint selection as selected. So I'm just going to draw a box around the whole thing, just completely engulf it. Right click and go to copy. And I'm going to create a new design here. And I'll create a sketch on my XY plane. And then I'm just going to right click and then go down to paste. Look at that. It throws that design right there. So you can copy from one design to the next and throw it on the sketch. I'll click OK there. So I could see that this isn't constrained at all. One thing you have to be careful is when you, let me see, is it? Yeah, so there's no dimension. So we can give this a dimension there. So one thing is you're working in inches and I'm in default millimeters. So let's change the unit to match. So to do that, we're going to go up here and just click on units, expand documents and settings. And then I'm just going to change this to match your units of inches. Click OK. Now when I hit D for dimension, it'll give me that 8 inches there. Okay, so yeah, so another thing is this isn't, when you copy and paste, you have to be careful because it doesn't bring over those constraints. So what I want to do is constrain this to that midpoint, and I'm just going to use the coincident constraint here. click on that and click on the midpoint, and it's going to bring it into place. And, you know, now it's fully constrained. I got a dimension here, and this is in place. I can't move anything. Another tip here, you know when your sketch is fully constrained, because there's this little red lock that'll appear on your sketch over here on your browser. It tells you that everything is locked in place. Okay, so let's continue with this. I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and if I go back to your design here, I can see that, let's see, we'll do Finish Sketch there. And I want to see how much this extrudes. So you saw how when I got out of that sketch, it completely was able to recreate this. Yeah, before without doing the suppress, it would have it took like a couple minutes for it to calculate. I'm just going to click on your extrude here just to see how much you extrude that. And this is this is what I do when I'm trying to, you know, reconstruct your designs. And whenever you see someone else's design, you want to kind of dive into and see how they approached it. I just go through the timeline, and you know, it gives you the, you know, the entire DNA here. So I could see that you extruded this 0.03 inches. Okay, that's all I needed to see there. So I'll go back to our current sketch, E for extrude. So here's an issue when you do a sketch on a path. Notice when I try to select just the sketch, it's hard because it wants to select that entire circle there. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to go back to that sketch. I'm going to take that line and make it a construction line. I'm just going to select it and hit X. And now when I finish sketch, see, it doesn't recognize that as a profile.
Okay.
So that'll make it easier now to go ahead and extrude this. So E for extrude, I can just select the text and it knows what I want now. And so we'll go ahead and type 0.03. Since I changed my units to inches, it knows that I want inches. And there we go. We have got that part so far. And then next, let's see, let's go back. Oops, keep going here. So after all these fillets, the next thing you did was you created another sketch here. And that's just this inner, or these two circles here. So it looks like this has a diameter, the inner one doesn't. There's no dimension there. But anyway, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy, select everything, right click, copy. I'm going to go back and paste that here. So I'm going to create another sketch. You know what? Let's do this in the order you did it. So before you did that sketch, you actually did do all those fillets.
I did all those. Yeah, I did the fillets, and then I dropped a bottom circle. Well, yeah, and then I gave a thickness to the outer circle, and then I cut a hole through it with the inner circle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just do it with the same approach. So here's another great tip I wanted to show you, and this could have saved you a lot of time. I'm going to grab my fillet tool, so F for fillet, right? And I'm going to go up here to where it says select. Once you grab your fillet tool, you can come here and go to select selection filters. And then it's smart enough to know, because you've already told it you want to do fillets. So it's going to limit your selections to the only things that would make sense for you to fillet. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure select through is unchecked, because what that'll do, it allows you to like select the back of something as well as the front. And so we're going to uncheck everything and then just select body faces.
Okay, yeah.
And now let's go to a top view. So if I select everything here, it's just going to select that top face. And so watch what happens. I believe it was 0.015.
Yes.
Okay. So if I do that, let me see, I think it is going to give me an error, right? So if you want to know what that error is, hover over it, and it's telling me that the fillet chamfer or fillet slash chamfer cannot be created at the requested size. This might be occurring where the operation turns sharply. Let me move this.
It's that capital M.
It is.
Maker. Yeah. And fortunately, it's red in this particular image too. But I happen to know that. I discovered that. I also had problems with the lowercase t. If I didn't get the right number, it didn't cross the T's because it was so much more subdued. So one just had to be careful with the with whatever values you selected. So
yeah, and you can see there it actually gives you a hint. It says try adjusting the size, deselecting some of the edges, try disabling tangent chain, or using multiple separate operations. So I did try. So well, let me see if tangent chains would work here, and I deselected that. May take a while to no, it didn't do anything. It still gives me an error, so I'm going to turn that back on. Your other option here is sometimes I try, like you might be able to get away with a smaller fillet. So for example, if you try, let's see if it'll take 0.01 here and let it calculate. So yeah, it is a lot of surfaces here. So it may,
Well, that one might have, that was one of the troublemakers. That might have even been a 0.09 to get it to work. Well, no, it looks like it did take it then, didn't
yeah,
it?
so this
Okay,
worked, it did
yeah.
work. Yeah.
It worked, right.
Yeah, but let's say you really need 0.015, right? Like you absolutely need that fillet. You can't compromise with anything smaller. So let's go ahead. We'll put that back in. And what's nice, as you said, it highlights it for you. It shows you a red, like it shows you where the problem is. So what I would do in this case, I'm going to hold Command or Control and select the top face of that M, and that's going to deselect only that particular face.
Nice trick.
Yeah.
Nice trick.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and try to reselect everything. So and then I'll show you how we can come in and how we can handle this M, because I can tell you that it has to do with this sharp edge right here. And then so what you can do. Okay, so here we go. So I just deselected it, and I'm just gonna click OK, and that way it'll give everything else a 0.015. And
Right.
yeah, so now we can come, so we can, the other option is you can come to that M and say, well, I know I can get away with that 0.01, so just that letter will have a 0.01 fillet. Or you can come in and then try to sort of fillet the sharp edges first. And then, and once you do that, it'll allow you to then fillet the face. It's taken a while here, probably because I'm running Zoom and I'm running Fusion 360, and I've got a few things running. So
no, that's a nice trick about deselecting, because I mean, really, it was the M and the T's were the troublemakers.
Yeah. So take a look here.
Yeah.
If I grab my fillet tool now and I grab this edge here, and we can do even like a really tiny fillet, like 0.001. It's tiny fillet there, but you can see it. It's not.
Okay.
Click OK, and now we can select this face. And now let's try your 0.015. And there you go.
Got okay.
It. Yeah.
It's easy when you know how.
Yeah. But take a look at what we have there, right? 3 fillets as opposed to 78.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other part, quickly, we'll just go through it right now. I'll just create a sketch, that XY plane. I think I still have it copied. So I should be able to just paste it. Go ahead. There's your text. I would recommend definitely putting some dimensions here. Okay. Oh, that one already has a dimension. I didn't see that. And then so the inner dimension is what we need. And we also have, it's not constrained to that midpoint. Let's move bodies. Okay, so now what I want to do, I just want to move it out the way so I can then go ahead and constrain this to the center. There we go. Okay, so now it's fully constrained, and we have your sketch. And then we'll finish that sketch, and then I'll simply go in, and then your extrusion was this, and then you went, it was a negative 0.03.
Yeah, I think I did a symmetrical one. I probably didn't have to, but I just needed to cut a hole. But yeah.
So we'll just throw that in there. Let that calculate. Let's bring your bodies back in. So you've got, each of those sketches are its own bodies there, right? So you've got quite a few bodies here. But once we join them, it all should then be joined.
Oh, okay. Join it. Okay. Yeah.
One body. And there we go. That's
Excuse me. Then can you change any of the letters then after you join them?
Let's try it. Let's go to our first sketch.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and then you can come in here, and all you have to do is, let's say, you know, you wanted to change, like for example, if you wanted to change the wording here. Okay, let's try like people's, let's say persons.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay, yeah, so that worked there. Let's see if it computes.
So you don't have to go back in your timeline marker back to the beginning?
No, you can just double click on that sketch to add it. You don't have to actually drag it back.
Okay. So
Once you open it, it basically goes back to the
double click is what I'm not doing. I'm trying to edit, select it, edit, and then go back in. That's what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Yeah.
Well, you can do that too. That's just another way of going. Yeah, it has to recompute all those. There we go. But at the end of the day, you know, we were able to do this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what, seven features. You know,
Instead of 78.
Yeah.
Now you're just showing off. That's all.
So yeah, a lot of really neat tricks there. So one, I'll kind of recap really quick. That suppress feature here, you know, you can, you know, to bring those back, you just highlight them and then you can go to unsuppress. But that's really going to help you speed through editing when you want to go back and make changes. So let's go to unsuppress, and that should bring.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Would it be possible when you extrude the text to angle the extrusion so that his casting will work properly instead of trying to fillet? Yeah, fillet.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, so that's actually what I end up doing with the soap mold is I do a draft angle.
Right.
So did you try doing that, Dean, or did
You know, I did try that, but I got the error. You see, I was just starting out, and I think I had trouble with a few letters, you know, and I probably tried too small a value that a few letters didn't like. I think if I tried something simpler, it would have worked. But yeah, I see there's like a taper angle or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the first place I went to, but then I got the error, and so that's when I just did one letter at a time. But I see there's a lot of different ways to approach this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Any questions on that? But yeah, that was a great example because allowed me to show quite a bit.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Vat. Unfortunately, I've got to jump over to another Zoom meeting, but I'll catch the rest of this on tape. So I'm glad you're copying it all. See you next week.
All right. Take care. All right. Any other questions on that?
Thanks for watching, and a huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you're looking to improve your Fusion design skills, it's critical that you become comfortable with the use of sketch constraints, which will dramatically speed up your workflow. I've created a free constraints cheat sheet you can download. Check out the link below. I've also included links to my Fusion video courses and my Patreon page if you'd like to support my channel. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one.